Good evening and welcome to the Job Search Solution, the radio program where we talk about looking for a job, changing jobs, changing careers, hiring. And as always, we begin with a prayer. Dear God, grant us thy peace and thy mercy, thy will be done. And in just a few minutes, as we always do every Wednesday evening, Rich Davinci is going to be with us talking about consultants in the workplace and consulting in general. He always has some interesting observations. Almost 30 years of doing it. The guy really knows his business. I want to remind everyone that we offer a free book for if you want to free book on how to find a job. Email me at Tony, Tony, at babich.com, and we'll send you a free book. What I wanted to talk about in this session, and we do every Wednesday evening, something that's happening in the marketplace, is this week I got calls from 3 candidates that I placed a year ago, a year and a half ago, beginning of the last year. And the market was crazy then, like we haven't seen in years, and probably will never see again. And people were getting salaries and increases and things like that. And I knew, since I've been doing this for more than 50 years, I knew that this wasn't going to end. This was going to end. These things always do. Recessions always end. And whenever the market's crazy good, it ends somewhere too. And people that don't realize that aren't living right and haven't been experienced enough. What brought this up was the fact that these candidates, 3 candidates, painted targets on their back, and it caught up with them. And what the message of this session is, don't paint a target on your back. One of these candidates got a $40,000 raise from the job that he had. This was a year and a half ago. Another candidate got a $35,000 raise, and another candidate got a $100,000 raise from the job he had had. He was the one that negotiated the hardest. He was demanding, and he pushed the employer to the limit on what he wanted, and he got the money. He got the $100,000. The other one got 40,000. The other one got 30. And they all knew, we all knew, me included, that it was probably a little more money than they were worth. But they were taking advantage of the ups and downs of the economy, and therefore they got the money that they wanted. And I communicated to them that they were hitting the high side of the money, and that this was the kind of thing that is not necessarily the smartest thing to do. But most candidates, when they go to look for a job, think that it's their best interest to get the most money that they can get from an employer, even if they know in their heart that the money is more than what the job is worth. But the employer needed them worse than they needed the job, and so they took advantage of the market and negotiated. Especially the guy negotiated $100,000 more than what he was making. Really negotiated hard, and the company really needed him, and he knew they really needed him, and so he got $100,000 more than what he had been making, knowing all along that he probably was taking advantage of the situation. Well, the market's come along in today's situation, and things aren't as rosy that economically as they were a year and a half ago. And so when it came time to lay people off, these 3 people were laid off. In fact, when they laid off the guy making $100,000 more than what he had made before, they even told him that they had overpaid and that they could afford it back when they hired him, but that he wasn't going to be able to, they weren't going to be able to sustain his salary, so they let him go. So the lesson in this is it's reasonable to get what you're worth in the marketplace. What you're worth in the marketplace just depends on about what you can get, but it's like what your house worth is worth nothing till the day you sell it. But be careful of taking advantage of the situation more than a balanced way. Whatever money you come to the conclusion of with an employer before you get hired has to be good for you, and it has to be, as a candidate, and it has to be good for an employer, and it has to be fairly equal. If it's one way or the other, disaster is going to happen. These three guys lost their job simply because they leveraged their pay way too much, more than what the job was worth and more than what they were worth. And they had a target on their back. And the first time that the company had to lay somebody off, they ended up laying these guys off because they were making too much money. And the last guy had making $100,000 more than what he had made before. They told him that. So what goes up comes down. You need to think seriously about the offers that you get and the way that you get them. If money is way more, a salary offered is way more than what the job or you are worth, you know that in your heart. But you better know that you may take advantage of the situation. And because you have a target on your back, the first time they get a chance to rectify the situation, they will. So think about that when you go to negotiate. Not too much, not too little. Do it about right. Judge the job more than just the money. Because if you get more money than what the job is worth, you will be very unhappy in the long run. All right, we're going to take a short break. Stay tuned. This is Tony Bashir with the Job Search Solution.